This? No, no. Mm-mm. Hey, Michael.
Yes, Mike.
Mhm.
It's starting down that way. You and I.
Right, exactly.
Oh, Vanessa? She has to sign in.
The sign-in sheet for Michael.
Oh, yeah. I am getting all my things.
That would be nice. I know they changed because. the setup wasn't she used that, this form did. I thought it would be, so we changed for that reason. We got ready. Has everyone signed in who's here to speak on a case? Okay, are we ready? Good evening, everyone. I'm here to welcome you to the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board meeting of Wednesday, February 21st. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Jenny Anderson,
Here.
Dale Blanton, Rodolfo Barrientos, Judy Hammerberg, Michael Lenat.
Here.
Again, welcome everyone. This is a meeting of the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board. The board is authorized pursuant to Chapter 14 of the Village's Land Development Code to ensure compliance with the village's Code of Ordinances. The members of the board are citizens and residents of the Village of Biscayne Park. We volunteer our time and we're not paid for our services. The purpose of each hearing is to give any alleged violators the opportunity to contest the decision of the code compliance officer, which resulted in the issuance of a notice of violation, and to determine whether a violation of the village's codes have occurred or is occurring. We're not authorized to dismiss violations based on hardships, ignorance, or the fact that others may be guilty of the same violation. These hearings are conducted in a quasi-judicial manner. Our responsibility is to act much like a judge in a court, and that is to hear cases presented by the village's code compliance officers and to hear contradictory arguments presented by the alleged violators. We are not authorized to change the code. The village commission is solely authorized to enact or revise codes. Conversely, neither the commission nor the village manager have the authority to overrule the findings of the board. Pursuant to Chapter 162 of the Florida statutes, orders of the board can only be appealed to the Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County. We have the authority to assess and order the payment of civil penalties, to issue orders, having the force of law, to command whatever steps are necessary to bring a violation into compliance, and to assess administrative costs. In order to make a finding upholding the code compliance officer's decision, we must find that there is substantial, competent evidence that the named violator was responsible for a violation of the relevant section of the code as charged. All documentary evidence presented by the parties must be submitted for placement in the hearing file. No documentary evidence will be considered unless the alleged violator or code compliance officer submits a copy for the hearing file. Each party shall have the right to call and examine witnesses, to introduce exhibits, to cross-examine opposing witnesses on any matter relevant to the issues, even though that matter was not covered in the direct examination, to impeach any witness regardless of which party first called them to testify, and to rebut the evidence against them. If you intend to address the board and haven't signed in, please do so. Anyone wishing to address the board, please stand and raise your right hand so you may be sworn in. You are reminded that this board is a quasi-judicial board and giving false testimony can be penalized.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do we have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
Yes. Addition? We would like to put on the record that staff have submitted standard operating procedures and policies for the Code Compliance Department to the Code Compliance Board to review and make recommendations. Copy has been passed up.
We want to set a special meeting for that.
Yes, we'll have to set a special meeting.
Can we save that for discussion? Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
The packet that we got initially when we sat down is the policies and procedures manual that they're working on, but they want our input, and that needs to be done in a public meeting, not individually. So in the interim, before we get further on in the meeting to discussions, one will think of some dates that they are available, and we'll talk about it then, if that's okay, Doreen?
Yes. In changes, item number 7.2 on the agenda, there was a misspelled word, THR. It should have read THE,
I'm sorry, 7.2.
Item 7.2 on the agenda.
Mhm.
There was a word that was misspelled. THR, it should read THE.
Got it.
On agenda item 7.9. The case number should read EEN 22-0224 instead of EEN 20-0784. Correction has been made. The amended notice to appear was posted at the property.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the case number in 7.8?
7.9.
7.8.
Item number. The case number is supposed to read EEN 22-0224.
Right.
And that's all we had.
Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
You mean both minutes? Yes,
January and October.
yes.
Any changes?
For January, I think if we can go to January 1st. Sure. January 17th, I have on number 8.15. I think Judy recused herself,
Correct,
and the vote was 3-0.
correct.
And I don't know if it needs to be mentioned that she recused herself or,
That should be in.
It should be.
Part of the hearing. So it's 8.15, Mark, Board Member Judy Hammelberg is recused, and the vote should be 3-0.
that's all I had.
I have one other. In 8.21, there's a line referencing Village of Biscayne Park Commissioner Matt Kennedy, who was in attendance, spoke with the resident outside the chambers. Those sort of things happen. Staff goes out and talks to someone, administration sometime. We don't normally put that in the minutes because the minutes really need to stress what went on as part of the hearing. So if I have no objections, I'd like that line to be removed. Any objections?
None.
If we could. Are there any other changes?
No.
Then I would make a motion to accept January's minutes with those two changes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. October. Any changes to October's minutes?
I don't have any.
Okay, I have a couple.
Okay.
Sorry. If we all can go to October's minutes, 8G. On the second line, it reads additionally an administrative fee of $250 and was assessed and should be removed. Next line reads, there shall be full compliance by November 30th, 2023. What seems to have gotten lost in a couple of the changes, it should say to obtain a permit should follow November 2023. And in 8H, first line, the motion was made to affirm that a violation did occur. A $250 violation fine was assessed. And an administrative fee of, it follows there. Anyone else have any changes?
Well, I don't know if it's a change, but,
Correction, I should say.
or a correction, a motion was made by Chairperson Janie Anderson and seconded by Vice Chair Dale Blanton that Board Member Michael Lanat, me, my absence was not an approved absence. I think I came on this board in June or July of last year, and when I did, I had already planned this trip to Europe and was, made everybody aware of that upon my acceptance of this position. I also believe that there were a couple of times when we went over it on the record about schedules.
Sure.
And it was talked about. So I would make a correction that it was an approved absence.
Would make a motion to correct that to an approved absence.
I'll second it. I know about his, going. I just know at the time that we heard this.
So should that,
wasn't put
that should
through the
probably go
village.
in, that should probably go in tonight's notes versus correcting October, shouldn't it? Because that's when we're making that motion.
To correct.
Yeah.
October's,
Yeah,
or to grant an excuse for October.
Grant.
right.
Okay.
But can we put that then in tonight's minutes that I'll make a motion to correct the October ruling that Michael's
Absence.
absence was not excused and to correct it to an excused absence because he had in fact given notice. Does that work for you, Michael?
Yes.
So I would motion that October's minutes be approved with those changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. If, is staff ready for the first case?
Yes. Good evening. Doreen Grant, Code Compliance Department. The first case under old business, which is item 7. First case is on item 7.1. It's for 665 Northeast 117th Street, case number CEN 23-364, belonging to Antel Views LLC, in care of registered agent Maura Gloria. This, they were found to be in violation of exterior walls not being painted. They came to the hearing, last hearing, and they were asked to at least pressure clean the walls, which they have done, and they've applied for a permit. I would like to submit into evidence. I think we have a copy here. Permit number EPP-24-2. They are in partial compliance, I would say for now, as we wait for them to complete this painting process. They did pressure clean. Did we have it? Oh. So those are the,
They also had the windows boarded up,
they have the shutters, yeah, because the building is vacant.
plywood. Because I live around the corner. And I saw the plywood on the windows.
Oh, really? So when you look at the picture, this is what we're able to see from the street. So oh, okay. So there was plywood before?
Where is this?
I do. Before, okay.
Oh, and just a reminder, everybody, for the sake of our audience, as well as those who may be watching us on Zoom or YouTube, into the microphone, because it doesn't pick up anything extraneous, and I'm guilty of turning my head too much. So Doreen, they have pressure wash. Is
They
that
have pressure washed, yes, they've
their
complied.
permit they've applied for is?
Is a paint permit, and they are waiting for approval.
Okay. So at this point, what would be the action you would suggest?
I would suggest we give them more time to go through this process. They can get their permit and paint the building.
Do we table it for another month?
Bring them back at March's meeting and give us an update on that? Okay. Mike, would you make the motion?
I'll make a motion to table 7.1 till next meeting.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
The next case number is, the item number is 7.2 on the agenda, and it's for property located at 690 Northeast 113th Street, case number EEN 17-0089, belonging to the Church of the Resurrection. We're asking for a motion to dismiss this case. Due process was not applied. While this case was looked at, while the board had looked at this case and ruled on this case, there were missteps. A courtesy notice was issued, and then a notice of violation was not issued. They went ahead and brought the case to the board and didn't give them enough time to comply. The affidavit they filed for non-compliance, they filed before the order of enforcement was issued, and they referenced the order of enforcement with a different date and a different case number. So
Well, given the testimony and the documentation, I'd like a motion to dismiss lack of due process.
Second.
I,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I would ask if, is this in compliance now?
yes, they are. Item 7.3, for the same address, 690 Northeast 113th Street, case number EEN 17-0278, the Church of Resurrection. Same thing applies to this case. We're asking for a motion to dismiss They had issued these violations at the same time, but as courtesy notices, there was no due process and there was a lot of errors in the process.
But this one is work without a permit.
That's correct.
What is the current status? Because we're looking at a roof and a carport built without a permit.
If you look at the package that we put in, they had put down what was it they built, the porch, the
Mhm.
very next day.
Mhm.
Someone attempted to start issuing, I would say, they did issue the affidavit of compliance, but it wasn't signed. The document that's on the file is not signed and not,
Does the structure still exist?
it doesn't. It's
Does
not, it
not.
was removed the very next day.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that was my point.
that was
Sorry.
my questions here. Was it in compliance again?
But the affidavit is not notarized and it wasn't complete, so I wasn't sure. And it's 2.5 years ago this happened, I think. No, actually more than 2.5 years ago.
Well, if, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to dismiss, lack of, due process.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is 7.4. Address is 928 Northeast 109th Street. The case number is EEN 22-0467, Yemi Palacios and Frank Palacios. We are requesting to issue an intent to lien. Violation fine of $75 has not been paid. The watercraft was removed, so they complied, the violation complied. However, the fine remains unpaid. We filed an affidavit of non-compliance.
Any,
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
I would make a motion to go ahead and, is the property owner here? No. I would make a motion to file the intent to lien.
would you entertain, the, administrative, fee of,
you.
$250 and
Thank you.
file and,
Absolutely.
assess filing costs?
Absolutely. Let me rephrase my motion. File the intent to lien. Add the $250 administrative fee and any applicable filing fees.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. 5-0. I keep saying that, sorry. 5-0.
Next item is item 7.5 on the agenda. The address is 981 Northeast 113th Street, case number CEN 22-87, Renee Alvarez. We're asking for an order of enforcement to be issued. They have a fence that's still standing. Part of it was complied and part of it is still standing, so we're asking for an order of enforcement.
Has the property owner reached out to you, tried to, is the property owner here? No. Has he reached out to anyone trying to work out does he want to repair the fence? Does he want to remove the fence?
Luciano?
Luciano Nibbs, Code Compliance Officer, Village of Biscayne Park. The property owner did reach out to me, and as Doreen stated, they removed part of the
Mhm.
fence. It's a concrete fence. So the other part of the fence that you see in the photo, it's to the back.
Mhm.
So I would suggest they get in touch with someone to actually physically remove it.
The rest of it, okay.
But I haven't heard back from them since in reference to tonight's hearing.
So what was the part that they took down? Was it on the street?
It was facing 113th Street. There was a fence there and a partial fence on 10th Avenue. Those two pieces were removed, but the fence to the rear of the property, it's still standing.
And what was your conversation with the homeowner about that aspect of it?
He was asking for, specific details on how to actually remove the fence. I couldn't give him that information, specific details. He needed to get in touch with a contractor or a handyman to get that fence removed.
What I find concerning also is that the notice of violation was written about 9 months ago, was May of last year. So there's been quite a bit of time.
There's been
elapsed.
plenty of time, and plus we
Mhm.
tabled this from last meeting to
Correct.
give the homeowner an opportunity to be present tonight.
Correct.
Um,
I'll entertain a motion.
I would, like to make a motion in case number CEN-22-87, that a violation has occurred. Assess a fine of $250, give the property owner until March the 6th to come into compliance. If not, a daily fine of $250 thereafter per day.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Quick question
Yes.
on the motion. It's 250 for the violation fine. There's no 250 administrative.
Oh, I forgot. Generally, I always include the
Yes.
administrative cost of $250. And I'd like to, amend my motion to include the administrative costs of $250. So it'd be a fine of $250, administrative costs of $250 to come into compliance by March the 6th. If not, commencing March the 7th, a $250 per day fine,
And I second. Again, all in favor?
daily fine.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0.
Item number 7.6, 1109 Northeast 118th Street. It's case number EEN 21-0987, Michael and Calivan. This case had 4 orders of enforcement, if the board will recall. 2 of the orders of enforcement are in compliance, were in compliance at the last hearing. We were left with the concrete steps and the windows. They have since been issued with a permit for the concrete steps. That's in compliance now. Now, the permit for the windows is in progress. There were notes from the building official that they had to work on some things. And so far, that's all that's left to comply. That's the window permit.
Are they in the permitting process on?
It's in process. There was a comment from the building official. I believe that they had to give the market value of the door.
Right.
And that's all they're waiting for to approve this permit.
So have we ceased then the daily fine accrual on the steps?
On the steps, the daily fine did stop on the date that permit was issued. So on this one, daily fine continues until that permit goes through.
Please, and please, if you would identify yourselves and your relationship to the property.
I'm Michael Liavano, and I live at 1109 Northeast 118th Street.
I'm Caliban.
We're just waiting then on your your permits to be properly approved.
Yes, ever since we been coming up here, it's just been the natural process, I guess. We've been, diligent and, emailing and calling and speaking with Doreen a lot, and so.
And then at that point, once that second permit is approved,
Yes, we
they then would be in a position to,
apply for relief. They already put in an application, but that application wouldn't be accepted by the board until compliance is achieved.
so know that as soon as you get that permit you're waiting on, that daily fine stops, so staff will have the final total. Then you guys go forward, completing your application process and come back in front of us for a fine reduction request.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for all your efforts so far.
Yeah, I responded yesterday, because I do try to call, but usually, like, when I make contact online, I don't get a follow-up. So the process does take a lot of time. So I did follow up yesterday. I believe Pedro left the comment stating that they needed the market value of the project.
Door.
So we still haven't had a follow-up.
I did see the
on
comments. He's coming in tomorrow and I will mention it to him.
that. Okay,
I'll give you a call after.
all right, please. Thank you so
So-
much.
I was gonna say, do you need a motion to accept the, update, the status update on the progress report?
And table for next month? I would assume the permitting should be completed in time for
I
next
believe
month.
so.
Janie,
I'm sorry.
what, do we really need to table? Because the fine's gonna run.
Oh, you're right. No, we
So,
don't.
so, I mean,
You're right.
we're given, it's in the process.
See them again when they come back with the fine reduction,
If they choose to do a fine reduction. Yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
So we just.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the progress report.
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be in
Thank you,
touch.
Thank you.
The next item is 7.7 on the agenda. It's for the address located at 1110 Northeast 119th Street. And this is for case number CEN-23-311, Adriana Montes and Abundaza Trust. We are asking for, well, we would be asking for an intent to lien. However, the plans have been approved by P and Z. I'm happy to report. And they are still going through the process of getting their permit. Now, we got in touch with the lady, and Rafael, would you like to give an update on Miss?
Rafael Gutierrez, Co-Compliance Officer for the Village of East St. Park. Regarding this permit, they have submitted an application for a driveway.
The patio, it's for the patio, right? Not to interrupt you, the only thing left here, they have an amount that has accumulated and is today at 21,250. I did let her know that this will continue to accrue until she comes into compliance. So the plans are in process, P and Z approved, so building permits are now being looked at by the building department. We would ask that you give her until March to see if the permit goes through, because this was work that was done without permits.
Right. So about how long does it take to, now that P and Z has,
Now that, yeah, it should take a few days. I looked at the notes and when P and Z approved, I think it's been over a week now.
so would it be fair to say that within 3 weeks' time, a permit should be, pulled, and that way they would either have a choice to go ahead and pay for it?
Absolutely.
And then, so we can make a motion that if in 3 weeks that, I'd like to make a motion then. I'd like to make a motion on case number CEN-23-331, to request that the village, proceed with the intent to lien and assess a $250 admin fee and an additional $250 admin fee and a filing fee if a permit has not been pulled and paid for by March the 6th.
I would like to mention there's already an order of enforcement on this case. So there's already the 250 plus what's accruing.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, right, I was only asking for the lien, and the
Mhm.
250 was for the work you had done previous, that was part of the original fine.
Correct, it's already on the record.
Right, but this was for the work that's proceeded from that fine until now for the administrative costs that have accrued. The original administrative cost was for the original finding.
Correct.
You said
This
the
administrative
additional
cost,
250.
if they do not pull the permit and pay for it by March the 6th, to file the lien, assess an additional administrative cost on the village's work for the period that's gone by since the original till now, and a filing fee. I mean, I don't think we should be doing this,
Correct.
Second.
work and from the village without being reimbursed, at least for the village's time.
So-
The order of enforcement is October, so I would definitely second that.
Yes, so an additional 250 administrative fee plus the filing fees.
The order of enforcement is October.
Right.
So this has been going on a while, so I'd agree with Dale, and I would second
I
that.
want to make sure we have it clear. Pull and pay for their permit by March 6th. If not, an additional $250 admin fee.
No,
No.
if not, village is to proceed with the lien
Intent to lien.
with the additional administrative fee of $250 plus any applicable filing fees.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Judy?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item on the agenda is 7.8. The address is 1153 Northeast 119th Street, case number EEN 21-0024, Larissa Garzon Garnett. Is she here today? No, she's not. We have communicated with Larissa on several times. She has been here before the board several times, and she was supposed to bring evidence to show that what she was installing was not a planter, was not a fence, it was a planter. She did get a permit that was approved for a fence. This is a while back. However, she had an outstanding amount of $770 from daily fines that had accumulated from the time the order of enforcement compliance date was given to the time she got the permit. It was $770. In our communication, she eventually was not able to find the evidence that she spoke of in the hearing. So she asked if she could apply for a reduction of fine. I told her that was possible and for her to come before the board. She wasn't able to bring in that application on time. She kept sending me documents. I wasn't able to open it, so I told her this is a little too late. The board needs time to review this. So as of today, the amount is still outstanding.
My concern is irrespective of what the object eventually became, she in fact did work without a permit. There was a type of construction work started. So I would say give her a deadline to file for that. We need to give her a deadline to file for the reduction, if not, an intent to lien.
I thought that she testified that she didn't think or believe it was whatever we said that it was.
Yeah, she
She came in.
thought it was a railing.
Right?
said it wasn't a fence, it was a railing, but then she changed it and made it into a
It's a
planter.
planter, yeah.
Right,
Either way, she did work. She had posts up at one point.
yeah.
She did work with no permit. And that's really the crux of why the fine accrued, no matter what she turned it into later. She started the whole project minus permit.
So she needs to apply for a fine reduction
Right.
or pay up.
Right. So, how long in advance for the March meeting would you folks need a fine reduction to be turned into you?
At least 10 days.
Robert, if I would make a motion that she either applies for a fine reduction, gets all paperwork to staff by March 6th, or file the intent to lien.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1.
Next item, 7.9. It was 4-1? Oh, Michael, no,
4-1.
I apologize. I didn't hear that. Next item is 7.9. The address is 11450 Northeast 11th Avenue. This is for case number EEN 20-224, Alejandro Bowers and Audrey McCollum. This case is now in compliance. She came in just before we came to the hearing and paid the fine.
Paid.
Paid?
That's correct.
Okay. Like, motion would be to close the case. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is 7.10. Address is 11503 Northeast 11th Place. Case number CEN 22-116 for Sandra Patricia Corzo. This is the case, just to remind the board, oh, she's here, that she has very difficult circumstances at her property. She has a tree and a septic tank.
Yes.
Yes.
So basically, good evening. My name is Sandra Corso. I'm the property owner. And I spoke to the planning and zoning department. I met with them. They said that they will allow me to do the driveway parallel to the gate that I have on the right-hand side of my property. I have actually what they draw and if you want to take a look, so that way.
Can you speak in the microphone?
You can
There's,
take it with-
there's one right.
Yeah, they, the board agreed that I could put the driveway in this area here, and I'm just basically,
I think we talked about that last month.
yeah, they said that it was okay, and I advised them that it has to be very close to the gate,
Yeah.
just because my septic tank is right
Right,
in
right,
the
right.
middle of it, and then I have also the tree.
That was a concern you
Now,
expressed
yeah.
last month, yeah.
Yeah, I do have a picture, if you want to see again the house that I can show you.
We have pictures.
So basically now, yeah. So basically now I am, the person that I was gonna use to do the driveway, he's not available anymore. So I'm looking for another person, but my question is, in the meantime, can I apply for the permit without having that information, or just basically wait for, because I don't have like an amount that I'm gonna pay or anything, because I have to look for the person again, I mean, I have to look for somebody again.
I would,
The safest,
don't you
Mhm.
think?
well, the safest thing for you to do is put in an application, so we have something on file. We'll notate the application, and of course, building will give you the documentation and the process. So while you're waiting to find someone, or while you're waiting
At
to,
least you're in the pipeline.
right,
So just
having
basically
it,
go and fill the application.
right, having it in the system will cover your violation. It's not gonna go away, but at least we'll have some progress.
We
The system.
do need to set some sort of a deadline for you to.
Yeah, no, and like I
Yes.
said, I had somebody that I was going to use,
Sure.
but unfortunately, the time passed. and
Right, right, right.
I was out of it. So I'm looking for somebody else. As soon as I have that, I'll be able, but my question was that I don't want to have something that I'm not doing,
Mhm.
so just filling out the application.
I'm looking for suggestions for a deadline, though, that a reasonable deadline we give Sandra to come back that with the completed application with a contract.
March 6th? Is that not enough?
Probably gonna give her. I would-
April?
And I
Let's,
was- I have
April.
people, like 10 people.
Yeah.
and, you know, so
All right.
Is it-
why don't we go for an April deadline?
follow-
Ma'am, could you speak into the mic?
April 1st.
Sandra, would that work?
I'm sorry,
April 1st?
yeah, that will be okay, yes. It's just because since February is so short, we're, like, next week is already the end of the month and we
Right.
have the beginning, so I don't want to be on a crush time and then just,
But get yourself
But-
in the pipeline.
yeah, yes,
So-
of course.
Even if it's not complete, just starting that application is
Yeah,
helpful
no,
to us.
that was my question, just because since I don't have anybody, I just wanted it to make sure that whatever I'm doing it the right way, so I don't have to.
My motion would be to give the property owner until April 1st to
Perfect.
come into compliance by having a fully permitted and paid for permit
Okay,
If not, then as of April 2nd, a $250 a day fine would start.
no problem.
I'll
that's fine,
second.
yeah.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you for all your efforts.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Who made the motion? Jenny? Second?
Judy.
Judy. Thank you. The next item is 7.11 on the agenda, and the address is 11623 Northeast 11th Place, case number CEN 22-120 for Charles and Eurydice Francois. This is for driveway. Driveway does not meet the design standards set forth in section 5.6.7. We have been in touch with Mr. Francois. We sent him a message to ask him to change the information. There's a note in his application. They have put in an application, I should say first, for the driveway permit. However, there was a note in the system from the building department that said that they needed to resubmit the papers because they were not clear. And I sent a message to Mr. Francois, but I haven't heard from him yet.
So that would have to go before P and Z?
Correct.
When does P and Z meet?
P and Z meets every 2 weeks, but this particular case is not on the agenda, I don't believe. Is it, Raphael? Mr. Francois? One,
But he still has apparently quite a bit of documentation.
right,
to-
that's not clear by the,
before he can get back there.
I got it. So he won't make this next P and Z.
I don't know,
Talking about the the third week of March,
March,
or at the earliest he could meet. and then
March
it
3rd,
goes into
I believe.
April,
Mhm.
if it's approved.
If I may, my concern is that he's being non-responsive in terms of getting the documents that are still missing. So even though we know he's not going to make P and Z for at least 1 or 2 meetings, I'd like to give him a tight deadline to at least get those documents in there.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I don't know when he was told to, I don't think we were given a date of when he was told to, the documents weren't enough. He needed additional documentation. Was that just a
Let's-
few days, 2 weeks ago?
You know,
I don't have the exact date when the building department put in that note, but I know I sent him an email last week.
Okay, so let's just say last week he was given notice, which, there was one holiday in there, so, but,
Yeah. we don't- Right.
so maybe I'm looking, the earliest he can make, a P and Z meeting would be the third week, I believe, of March. And then it takes what, about a week if he's approved,
Correct.
a week or so after?
About a week, yeah, week and a
About
half,
Week and a half, 2 weeks?
go through the building.
Isn't there a P and Z meeting Monday?
It's a,
So then 2 weeks later, with March 11th, should be the next one. If it's possible to get us a calendar of the P and Z meetings,
oh,
that
absolutely,
would be phenomenal. That
awesome,
would
yeah.
be, remember we
We
said
can do that.
it's so helpful when we're trying to figure this stuff out.
So it would be, April the 1st again would be a good date
But you're saying April the 1st even?
to have a permit pulled.
Okay, okay.
No, the documentation is up to him. Either he, can pull it together,
Or
the
not.
property owner can pull it together and take it towards, to P and Z and get a permit or not.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion on case number CEN-22-120, to give the property owner until April the 1st to come into compliance by pulling a permit. If not, on the 2nd of April, assess a fine of $250, administrative costs of $250, and a daily fine of $250.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item on the agenda is 7.12, 11659 Griffin Boulevard. Case number is EEN-21-0737 BP Apartments LLC in care of the registered agent Londona Octavia. Octavia is here. We Well, I'll let him talk.
Okay, my name is Octavio Londano for BP Apartments.
Any board discussion?
Mr. Londono was here at the last hearing, and we had to bring a computation of the amount owing, which we have put in the documents we have submitted. But he says he's in compliance today. He sent some pictures to the inspector.
We. The
Luciano?
the pictures are attached, or they're new?
No, he's got new pictures, I believe.
Yes, photos were taken today in reference to the trash cans that were at the side of the residence, and it was not in compliance
As of today.
as of today. They should be to the rear of the building, screened from the public, or in the case of a dumpster, the whole entire dumpster should be in an enclosure screened from the public.
Have those pictures, Luciano, so we can see them.
Yes, we do. We do have pictures that the inspector took today. Mr. Londono just showed us some pictures.
2021.
Correct. Mr. Londono showed us some pictures on his phone that he took after the inspector had been there today. So they have put the containers in the back. But going forward, Mr. Londono can explain to the board what he intends to do with that situation. Because he was supposed to do an enclosure for the dumpster, then he changed his mind and decided to use garbage containers, which have still been visible from the public right of way. I've explained to him that's a violation as well. So he can tell the board what he intends to do going forward.
Are you the homeowner? Are you
Yes.
the apartment owner? Okay. This says registered agent. You're just registered agent and the owner.
Yes, correct.
What I'm not sure about if those containers are enough, because that's a multi-family property. I'm not sure if the capacity is enough.
How many units?
12, how many units are in?
5.
It's 5 units, okay.
And are those garbage and recycling?
And recycling, so you need at least,
And
correct,
5 and 5.
5 and 5,
are there 10?
correct, 5 and 5, at least a container per
Are
unit.
there 10 that were
No,
those pictures? How
No.
many were there?
no, there was only like 3 or 4
We
containers.
have like 4.
Four.
4 and 4, yeah.
Not for 5 units? No. Sir, go right ahead. If you would identify yourself and I'm sorry, any more questions from this board? Or if you would identify yourself and your relationship to the property and
Okay. My name is Octavio Londano, and I'm also the owner of BP Apartments LLC. I've got a dumpster back in 2021 to alleviate the issue of the tenants leaving the trash cans outside and getting all these penalties from the city. That worked okay for a while until I was told that I needed to put an enclosure. That became a problem with the permit, and it became a problem also with the trash company that was doing the collecting, that were demolishing my driveway because they were driving inside to get the trash can and demolishing all the plants and everything. So I cut them out about a year ago, and we went back to the trash cans. I have somebody that is in charge of taking them out and bringing them back in, so we're in compliance. I didn't know the trash cans needed to be also enclosed or away, because
Behind
if
the
you-
building.
if you drive down the whole neighborhood, everybody's trash can is seen.
that doesn't make it legal, sir.
Okay, anyways. So when I spoke to Ms. Doreen Grant, she said that I still had to pull a permit, and it was gonna be too costly for me to do a permit, because then I would have to do another survey and this and that. The survey that I got is already 2 years old, and it would have been about $5,000 just to do an enclosure. Because just the survey alone is about $2,500. So I just moved them to the back and this afternoon, and I didn't know they had gone through earlier. And I took a picture, which I sent to him on his email. So we're in compliance. As far as the other trash cans, they only gave us 2. And I don't know how to get any more.
We are dealing with actually two separate things. The trash cans are clearly not in compliance, but that's not what we're dealing with tonight. So that's a separate issue.
From
However,
the dumpster without
deal with
not
it.
being in an enclosure.
We're dealing with is the dumpster. Is the dumpster still on property?
No.
No.
So that's in compliance.
Place the
Trash
trash
cans.
Now, if you need more trash cans, you can contact our Public Works Department. They will take care of it, as well as more recycle bins.
Okay.
All you have to do is call them.
Okay, thank you.
So
The du-
I was
Sorry,
gonna
go
say,
ahead.
for me, he's now come, if picture that he showed of the village is accurate and he's moved behind, then I would say he's in compliance as of now.
Right.
And
That still
we
leaves
could stop the
daily fine.
daily fine, and then it's a whether you proceed with asking for a fine reduction, which is a process you'd go through the village and fill out a form, and then you'd ask for a fine.
Okay.
If that's the case and everybody's in agreement, I'd like to make a motion that the property is now in compliance.
There's no dumpster on it, not in the back, not anywhere.
No.
Okay.
A second.
All in favor?
Yeah, Aye.
I do agree with the property owner that a number of the homes along Griffin Boulevard
Yes. And almost
are
every
in,
other boulevard.
are not in compliance, and that I would recommend that we take a good look at those properties.
Noted.
My neighbors and
So the daily fine will stop as of today.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you made the motion. Who second?
Me.
Michael.
Michael.
May I also put on the record that the amount outstanding, which they had asked for, the board had asked for from the last hearing, is $46,450.
At this point, sir, if you wish to apply for a fine reduction, there is a form and a fee. Go into Village Hall and meet with these folks, and they can give you the proper paperwork. And then you can come back in front of us for a fine reduction request.
Next one.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is 7.13 for 11724 Northeast Sixth Avenue. The case number is EEN 21-0226. Property belongs to 11724 Northeast Sixth Avenue LLC. We're asking to dismiss this case. A motion to dismiss. A violation fine was paid, and there has been no affidavits of compliance filed to substantiate the daily fine. Per order of enforcement dated 4/8/21.
Okay, I'll make a motion on EEN 21-0226 to dismiss.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Next case is item number 7.14, 11724 Northeast Sixth Avenue. Case number EEN 21-0227. Property owner is 11724 Northeast Sixth Avenue LLC. We're asking for the board to issue an order of intent to lien. Total amount owing is $3,275. This amount accrued at $25 a day from April 23rd, 2021, which was the comply by date, which was the day after the comply by date, to September 1st, 2021, when the permit was issued. The $100 violation fine was paid December 6th, 2021. per order of enforcement dated for April 2021. An affidavit of noncompliance has now been filed.
Good evening, members of the board.
I just have one question. So just for clear, everything's in compliance as far as the fine was paid. It was just the
Violation. fine.
violation, has not been, or the daily fine was not paid.
That's correct.
Hasn't been-
Violation is in compliance, but there was a total amount of $3,275 that accrued between those dates.
Hi, everyone. Rachel.
Permit was pulled approximately 4 months after compliance date. So there was a significant time. Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rachel Streitfeld, law offices at 7293 Northwest Second Avenue. I'm the attorney for the owner. And unfortunately, it would be a violation of due process for you to impose these fines because your order of enforcement does specifically state that an affidavit of noncompliance has to be filed before an intent to lien or a lien can be imposed. That is the black and white language of your order enforcement that was issued in this case, as well as the other cases that I am here on this evening. So I appreciate that the process has changed since 2021, but you ordered compliance. My client pulled the permit several months later. After the permit was pulled, he did come back and pay the $100 violation fine. And at that point, he was under the impression that this matter was closed. And so now to get a bill basically for several $1,000s is outside of the scope because again, the affidavit of non-compliance was never filed. And your code and your forms specifically state that ongoing fines cannot be imposed until an affidavit of noncompliance is filed. So I respectfully request that you dismiss this case.
Was an affidavit of noncompliance ever filed?
We have filed an affidavit of noncompliance. This case is different from the other cases because compliance in this case was to get the permit. They did get a permit on September 1st, 2021. So we calculated what was owing from the day after the comply by date in the order of enforcement to the date that they complied. So on those dates, that's the amount that accrued. The situation she's talking about does not apply to this case because even though we have filed a notice, an affidavit of noncompliance, the date on which they were to comply had passed and then they complied after. It's different in a situation where money continues to accrue and there's no affidavit of compliance filed because in that way, it's difficult to assess when compliance happened. In this particular violation, we know when compliance happened. It was the date when they issued the permit. That was the compliance date.
By virtue of the fact that he pulled the permit, he clearly knew he wasn't in compliance, and we have an end date, the date of the permit pull. On the other cases, no, we don't have an end date, so we have no idea when. That's a whole different ballgame. Obviously, you cannot assess daily fines. In this case, we've got an end date.
Well,
The order of enforcement actually, where it's assessed fine, assesses a daily fine of $25 to commence on April the 23rd of 2021 until there was compliance.
Until there's compliance. So since we do have a compliance date, we have now issued we backdated it, of course, to we do mention the dates when compliance was achieved in the non-compliance. And the non-compliance only applies to the dates when the fines accrued.
But the argument that I'm making is about fair notice. And the $100 violation fee was paid in December of 2021. At that point, if the city was sincere about imposing these fines that had been accruing, because you have them accruing from April 22nd until the permit was pulled in September, the fee, the $100 fee was paid in December after all of that. The client came here in person, paid this fee and was not notified that several $1,000s were owed. And I believe that's probably because, and again, this is black and white language on your order of enforcement. It says, in the event that an affidavit of non-compliance is filed, then a fine can be imposed daily. That is the black and white language that you mail to property owners when they get a violation. It doesn't say if you don't pull a permit in time. It says in the event an affidavit of non-compliance is filed, then you can impose a daily fine. And that affidavit of non-compliance was not filed, and the client did come and paid the $100 violation fee in person and was not advised of these outstanding fines. So respectfully, I would appreciate the case to be dismissed.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes.
So the compliance was September 1st, 2021, was that the date?
The date that the demolition permit, and
Was
you know, it was, the demolition permit was issued in this case, oh no, sorry, I'm looking at 0227. The demolition permit was pulled, I think, in September.
Okay. And in the, of 21, and then the fine runs from April 22nd, what? 21?
Oh, I'm sorry, this is the dumpster without a permit. This isn't the demolition one. This is the dumpster without a permit. I don't have the date that the violation was paid. I just have the receipt from it. But the permit was pulled in September. So the order of enforcement, you know, the order of enforcement is from April. The permit was pulled in December, or I'm sorry, in September. And so they're calculating the fines from April 22nd to September 14th.
April 23rd to September 1st.
Okay. Okay. So mid-April to September when the permit was pulled.
And when was the affidavit of noncompliance filed?
On the 8th of February this year,
Yeah, I
when
mean,
I was reviewing the case.
that's not consistent with what your procedure
So
requires.
if I understand your argument is that the code says that in order to impose a fine such as is attempting to be done here, there has to be an affidavit of noncompliance, and that starts the clock.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that's, again, I mean, if you look in the case file, the affidavit, I'm sorry, the order of enforcement from April 8th lays out those regulations pretty clearly. It says on or about the date of compliance, which here was April 22nd, an affidavit of compliance or an affidavit of non-compliance shall be filed. And then it says, in the event that an affidavit of non-compliance is filed, then a daily fine can be imposed. That's the procedure that's laid out in the notice.
Then, and how do you distinguish Ms. Grant's argument that says, that's inapplicable to the situation here?
Well, her argument is that the client knew he was not in compliance, but that doesn't, it doesn't, what my client knew, and I'm sure my client was moving quickly to get a permit, but what my client knew is not relevant to what the order says because you didn't follow the right procedure. He may have known he needed to pull a permit, but he didn't realize that fines were accruing against him on a daily basis because that order says that they weren't.
And then, and go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, the order specifically says there was a daily fine. of
Mr. Blanton,
$5.
read the whole thing.
Well, I'm reading what your client would have read. I'm assumed that he had a fine of $100, and if he continued reading, he would have saw that full compliance, by April the 22nd of 2021. If not, if he continued over and it said he would accrue a $25 a day, fine commencing on April the 23rd until he came into compliance. Now, I mean, I don't know if I got an order of enforcement, I wouldn't have stopped on my findings of fact because there's multiple parts of the findings of fact. I would have read the whole thing going, maybe I would have asked some questions. I don't know. I wasn't at the village. I don't know if the village told him, sir, you also have daily fines. We'll get you a total. Or, this is the period. I said, here's the $100. I'm paying the fine. Get back with me. I don't know. But I do know that if I was a recipient of this, I probably wouldn't have stopped at $100. I would have read the order in full.
Well, the order in full, respectfully, Mr. Blanton, says, in the event an affidavit of non-compliance is filed, a fine of $25 per day for each day non-compliance is hereby imposed. In the event an affidavit of non-compliance is filed. My client never got a notice that a non-compliant affidavit had been filed, and he paid the $100 fine and thought that he was finished with this violation.
It was, but the affidavit of noncompliance was April of 2023.
No, the affidavit of non-compliance was filed 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Okay, so, I
But you-
mean, this, and your argument is that this particular paragraph, requires an affidavit of noncompliance in order to trigger $25 fine.
Thank you, Mr. Linnet. That is my argument.
So, and that's what in what you were reading there was what?
Is from the order of enforcement from April 8th, 2021.
Okay. I mean, it appears to me, and we're doing a lot of speculating about what was in the mind of the homeowner, and I don't think that that's relevant to the issue here. I think that Ms. Streitfeld is making the argument that our own document says and requires that an affidavit of noncompliance be filed in order to impose a $25 a day
That's it
fine.
exactly. The wording is a little odd. It says, in the event that an affidavit of non-compliance is filed, it doesn't say an affidavit of non-compliance must be filed in order to assess the daily fine.
Well, I mean, I think that at best is vague, and I think that if we're the ones that create the document, at least in contract law, Ms. Streitfeld, if there's an ambiguity with the contract, how does the law treat that particular provision?
The law would be in favor of the person claiming the harm.
And against the person who drafted?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, I don't see that as a different situation here, at least if I'm following Ms. Streitfeld's argument. I'd make a motion to dismiss the violation because I don't believe that that the affidavit of noncompliance was filed on a timely basis. And I think the motion is well taken. And I don't think that the distinguishing factor that Ms. Grant provided is one that overcomes the vague at best language of our order of enforcement.
Do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
Second.
Rodolfo, second?
I second it.
Well, for discussion, Mike, I hear what you're saying, Michael, I hear what you're saying, and I agree. But I would like the village to weigh on, the village attorney to weigh in on it also, because it would affect what the village would have to say moving forward on how we're dealing with this. I'd hate to set a precedence without the village attorney having weighed in on it, and give us some guidance.
I mean, I think that that's fine, but I think that the motion that Ms. Streitfeld is making for tonight, deserves to be ruled on. And I think that we should bring it to our village attorney in order to clear up any ambiguity in our rules and
Michael,
make the correction if necessary.
Michael, do you want to edit your motion, or do you want us to vote on your specific motion and then Dale can make his?
Basically, I'm just asking that we table it to
Right.
have the attorney weigh in. I mean, the fines have stopped. The daily fines have stopped accruing since 2021. The only thing is whether we ask the village to place a lien. So we're just asking that the village attorney give us some feedback or interpretation of this, given what the attorney has argued.
I agree with Dale.
So do I.
I mean, the timing issue, yes, it's a long one. But we also have an an order of enforcement, which is hard pressed to understand why, the rest of it.
Okay, and then, with the attorney, what is what are we, what are we asking the attorney to do?
With regards to asking the village, the attorney's interpretation of, under part one, where on or about the aforesaid date, down to, in the event the affidavit, how it applies to in the event an affidavit of noncompliance is filed. A fine is, of each day is to approve. That those paragraphs right up in there, if we are to immediately file the noncompliance affidavit, or if our language here is sufficient to advise the client at some point that there remains a unpaid daily fine.
I mean, I appreciate us trying to go that route, but I think that in this particular circumstance, whatever the village attorney says with respect to their individual interpretation, I don't think that we can offload what our job is as a quasi judicial body and to, interpret, the facts and the law based upon our collective.
We have to enlist the help of our attorney to get things clear, and this is certainly one of them. I'm not comfortable simply dismissing a case without him reading those paragraphs that Dale mentioned and then interpreting, what was done with the permit having been pulled, et cetera. Did that not notate that the person knew they weren't in compliance and therefore pulled it? Is there could any reasonable person have interpreted this the way we are? I want to see legal weigh in on this. I don't want us just to, make an arbitrary decision tonight when sometimes we do need that additional piece of advice, and this is one of them.
Because we have multiple cases with the same property that
Exactly.
they're going to be argued the same, with the same argument.
Exactly.
So, and this would then apply to other cases that will come before
In the
us
future. Mm-hmm.
also, which I'd rather know, not just for this particular property, but for any other properties that come before us, because if
Right.
it is, then we may be dismissing the daily fines on other cases. If that's what the village attorney interprets, then it has a good bearing on other cases that we did not file timely. Just like we've dismissed, some because, the affidavits hadn't been filed or we didn't post correctly. We've dismissed those.
We've got a long way to go yet, so.
Well, I don't agree, that an interpretation by the attorney is relevant to whether this motion is ripe. I would support a motion to have the attorney weigh in to delight your satisfaction that, that he's weighed in or she's weighed in. But with that information, I'd want to table this and have further discussion on it once that's done.
We have.
Well, yeah,
Has
we
to come
have to
back.
because we'd have these cases still here.
Yeah, it has to
Okay.
Just to table the cases, because
I mean, I
I
have a,
understand what you're saying.
and I have another case on the agenda tonight. I mean, here's the situation. You go before a board, you get an order of enforcement. The order of enforcement says, okay, you have this amount of time to comply. You go ahead, you do the things that you need to do to pull a building permit. The other one is a demolition permit. To pull a demolition permit, you need utility disconnection letters and water and sewer. But the point is that the violations are now complied. And the property owner has since come back to the village and he's paid the violation fines for what he owes for making those mistakes. But now we're here 2.5 years later, and all of a sudden we have a $7,000 bill and a $3,000 bill for accruing fines that we didn't realize were actually accruing.
They weren't accruing. They only accrued
they
up
stopped.
until you came into
Right.
compliance
But
by
they haven't been
pulling the
accruing in
permit
all those
or
Okay,
years.
but
meeting the
what I
price.
meant is that they were accruing during that time. I mean, it's like getting a bill for a trip that you took 3 years ago. I mean, he didn't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Or charging interest and then you paid it off, but you still got all that interest there.
Okay. Do I have, right, Michael has a motion and a second, which was just to dismiss. So let's vote on that first. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion fails 2-3. Okay, now Dale.
I'd like to make a motion to table on case number EN 21-0227. To have the attorney give us some direction and interpretation of the order of enforcement and how it reads specifically with part 1 and part 2 pertains to the affidavit of non-compliance.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? Michael and Rodolfo?
Said aye. He said aye.
Aye. Oh. Was that a 5-0?
Next item is 7.15, 11724 Northeast Sixth Avenue. Case number is EEN 21-0228 for belonging to a 11724 Northeast Sixth Avenue LLC. We're asking for a motion to dismiss. Property owner had paid the violation fine of $100 on 12/6/2021. No affidavit of noncompliance was filed to substantiate the daily fines.
I would make a motion to dismiss.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes 5-0.
Who are we putting down second? Michael or Judy? They both said it at the
Good
same time.
Made the motion, Jenny.
Judy.
Judy? And who second? Jenny, Judy.
Next.
Next is 7.16 on the agenda. Address 11724 Northeast Sixth Avenue. Case number EEN 21-0229 belonging to 11724 Northeast Sixth Avenue LLC. We're asking for an intent to lien. Amount owing is $5,200. This amount accrued from April 23rd to August 5th of 2021 at $50 a day. The violation fine of $150 was paid by the property owner December 6, 2021.
If there's no objection from the board, I would like the next items, agenda items 716, 717, and 718, all of which are the issue and intent to lien, that we do the same thing as with the prior case, that we refer these three also to the attorney for guidance.
I'll second, but like the attorney, if you have any objections, I believe.
I don't have any objections. I respect wanting to have an attorney guide you as you make decisions in a quasi judicial setting. And I've mentioned this to Doreen, and I did mention it to Commissioner Kennedy. I have never before seen a quasi judicial board operating without an attorney present, given the rights that are at stake. You all are doing a phenomenal job. I understand wanting to have confirmation from an attorney. I stick by what I'm saying. I think the village can improve its processes in terms of what happens when a property is not in compliant, to be fair to property owners. But I'm happy to come back yet again next month. Fortunately, I don't live in Homestead.
And we do appreciate it. You brought up some good points.
Thank
I
you.
just
Yes.
be hard pressed
Okay.
to.
I appreciate you all
We have
doing
a
your
first
job.
and a second on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you for your patience and your professionalism.
No, absolutely.
And I am an attorney, but not for the village. It's to be clear.
I know you were an attorney, Mr. Linnett.
You
and
just
thank
said there
you.
were no attorneys here.
No, but your job in this position is to advocate for the code board, right? Not to give advice. They would pay you in that instance, which they are not, right?
I would like to ask who made the motion for the three cases?
Made the motion and Dale second.
Dale. Thank you. And it's 5-0 for all three cases. Next item is 7.19, and it's for the address located at 12010 Northeast 11th Place, case number CEN 23-407. Ignacio de Almagro III, Christina Maria Almagro, Grazila Graupera Trust, Graupera Family Trust. This case is actually in compliance. The tree has been removed, which was obstructing the
Soon
house,
as we-
the
yeah.
house number.
As soon as we found it, I had it cut down. And I also had, my gardener had not been going.
Thank you, sir. That's that.
Any questions from the board? The tree has been removed.
Removed, and the addresses can clearly be seen by the fire department. It's not for us, it's for the fire department.
No questions? Sir, if you would identify yourself and your relationship to the property, please.
My name is Ignacio de Almagro III. I'm the property owner, or one of my two sisters as well. Yeah, as soon as we got these, I went and took care of them. My gardener wasn't going, so I had to get a new gardener.
They're charging you?
He had, so I got that money back and had the argument there, but that's aside. That it's because my nephew moved out and we're in the process of actually in the process of selling the house because I can't buy it out for my sisters. And I sort of was thinking about redoing it, but I can't buy them out and redo it. So then I found someone that wants to buy it. So actually the 8th is going to be the closing, March 8th. So that may have some bearing on the couple other, one of the other violations.
Three more,
Because,
just three more.
yeah,
Yeah, we have three more. Okay, on this first case, do I have a motion?
Well, in case number CEN-23-407, violation had occurred, is now in compliance. I'll move to close the case.
Second.
Michael?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is 7.20 for the same property, case number CEN 23-408. We are asking for an order of enforcement for exterior painting, no application in the system as of today.
yes, like I said, I tried pressure washing, see if what was wrong with, if it was just something plant, but it's staying through and I started peeling off the paint when I pressure washed it. So I will apply for painting, but I think I would ask for a motion to continue it so the next owner can deal with it because they plan on completely renovating the house. And like I said, my closing date's on the 8th of March, which is in 2 weeks. So I would request a continuance so that it goes over to the next owner and they'll take care of it because they have plans to completely redo the house. So that would all fall under them. In that case, there's no point me painting a portion of it.
I would like to at least see the house pressure washed, sir, because I understand what you're saying. You don't know what the new owner has planned. It could be a complete waste of your time. I get it. But frankly, in order to remove some of the.
No, I did pressure wash it. I pressure washed it. I started
You have
peeling off the
pressure
paint.
washed it?
I started peeling off the paint, making it worse. Because it's all,
Been there, done that. We get that.
so it's like, I don't want to completely peel off the paint because then it'll be weird concrete. Yeah.
Is this green? 215. When did you pressure wash?
2 weeks ago.
Well, this was 215, so this would be after because it looks like mildew. That's why I was just.
Nicely.
Yeah. I don't see it.
Back page.
Oh, okay, thank you. That doesn't look real pressure washed.
I saw the one side over to your right where the carport is, it looks fine.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
This won't come off?
it's this part.
yeah, it's the part behind the boat.
No, behind, it's because of the tree.
No, right, good point.
Oh, the tree.
Yeah. Trees are rough on houses.
All right.
This looks good.
Kept it up when he was living there.
Yeah, so what you're stating is that, you have a sale of the property to close, on or around March the 8th?
Correct.
We could give a continuance to our March meeting. And let him come back before then.
I'll second.
For discussion. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, yeah, for discussion. No, I was just, it's been since September, was the notice of violation. I'm only thinking that, that's
Yeah,
been a while.
I feel like we're very much stuck between a rock and a hard place. On
What-
one hand, he's got the new owner coming in. On the other, we've looked at this, anybody in the neighborhood, for 5 months.
Yeah, I'm just, but for me, a violation has occurred.
Right.
And is still, nothing happened between September till now, and the violation has occurred. I don't mind tabling it as far as, any daily fines or anything, but I was just looking, we have a violation,
It is a
and
violation. Okay.
and nothing has really been
I
done with that.
would like to amend my motion.
What do well, I just wanted, before the motion, you said nothing's been done, you mean like, as far as what, taking care of the situation? Because
Taking care of the situation.
he
until-
just did, he
No.
he pressure cleaned.
Yeah,
No, the pressure washing didn't work.
Right, well, well, it worked on half of the house, it didn't work on the half where the tree was.
About this, he has had since September, and the house could have been pressure washed and painted long before a new owner, possibly even making it more attractive for a new owner, and nothing's been done in 5 months. I stand corrected. I appreciate Dale having brought that up, because 5 months is a long time
But you,
for property to sit that way, and there was no effort made to correct it. So I feel like we do have to set at least a violation fine, then we can table any future decision to the March meeting to see what the status is then, once it's changed hands.
one of the reasons is, the new property owner coming in, they're gonna have renovation plans and all. It's not gonna include painting yet again
Right,
for a period of time.
right.
This could have been resolved
Mm-hmm.
before now. I'm only saying, and I understand a pending sale or closing, that a violation occurred of this property from September, before September, but given the notice on September, it didn't come into compliance or even attempted compliance until a couple of weeks ago or a week ago.
When the notice of, to appear came out.
So even if it was fully complied with now, we still looking at there.
Mhm. All right, I'd like to amend my motion.
I think he was still, he wanted to say
I
something.
had tried, I pressure washed it. My nephew had pressure washed it before, back in November, after the initial, when we got the initial letter, and he said that it wasn't coming off. And that's when I came around now after the holidays, and I got a more powerful pressure washer to take care of it. And that's when I started ripping off the paint.
It's,
Like, I'm going to amend my motion that in the case of CEN 23-408, a violation has occurred, assess a $250 fine, and table any further decision for the March meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, any opposed?
aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Next
The
case.
next item is 7.21 on the agenda. Same property address, and the case number is CEN 23 410. We are asking for this case to be closed because this boat is grandfathered in. We were just waiting for them to bring the registration.
I emailed it.
You did email it?
Yeah. Did you not receive it?
Which
I think I
email,
had that-
which email, did you, email address?
I don't have that.
You don't have it?
We'll
We'll look, we'll look for it.
Again, I'll go look.
We'll
But
look for
actually,
it.
before I leave, I want to write the email again. Maybe I have a misspelling in or something. I'll send it.
That's fine, we can get it later.
Yeah, but
However,
has always been registered its
Right.
entire life.
right, are we asking for the case, this case to be closed for that reason?
I
It's
thought,
grandfathered in.
I thought the grandfather in, died when the property owner,
When it changes
deceased,
hands.
when it
does.
changes hands. So when the deceased property owner moves to the, heirs, wouldn't that be a change of hands?
I've had it before. I've already been through this, 2015 or 2010. I've had, the house is always in my name.
Oh,
So even
okay,
though-
so you're the property owner.
So even though my father passed away, my name was already on it. My name was still on it. So it's always been in my name.
So it is properly registered?
He says he sent it in, I was looking for it, I'll have to
I'll-
verify
I'll go
that.
send it again. Maybe I had a misspelling in the email address.
Okay.
But
Well, I wasn't going to penalize you for the registration when the violation was issued for the boat being there.
The boat's always registered.
Have the administrative variance for that boat to be in the front?
Yes.
Because you had to file for that. Being grandfathered in was one thing.
2013,
But you had
something.
a year or so to file for
Yeah.
it.
I filed it way back, like 2010, 2011,
Right.
probably again.
All right, so you're comfortable with closing the case?
That's correct.
My motion would be in CEN 23 410 that we close the case. They are now in compliance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
And just for clarity, though, that ends with the owner
With, yes.
selling the property.
Selling the property.
In other words, if the new owner has a boat,
We did take note of
Yeah,
that.
they can't put it in the same place, yeah. Yeah, but I've had that boat there forever, 30 years now.
Yeah, I can tell.
There's,
That's all right.
I have another
A
boat.
lot
I
of
mean, it's like,
cases.
that boat has a special value to me. I'm actually taking it with me and I'm gonna,
okay.
with the house money, I'm gonna fix it.
Next case.
Next item is 7.22, same address, case number CEN 23 420. We're asking for an order of enforcement. This is for the driveway, and there is no permit in the system as of today.
That, I didn't quite understand because that driveway is the original driveway, has always been like that. I mean, we didn't do anything to it. That's
But
the,
it can't always be like that anymore. That's the thing. We've always had a driveway requirement, but it's now been tweaked and that driveway no longer complies.
Yeah, you were even given a courtesy notice back in April the 27th of 2022. And the village sent out notices to all property owners with regards to the new standards for driveways and when to come into compliance.
Among
by.
other things, there is no approach.
there actually is an approach.
Well,
It's
there's no
underneath,
approach.
it's underneath
Okay.
the grass as if we're growing it where the
I'm
sidewalk
think-
used to be.
I'm thinking this is the same situation as one of the prior ones, that if a violation has occurred, we need to assess a fine, but future action needs to be tabled till March, so the new property owners are on board. Because I think it's pretty,
Well-
he's not gonna get a driveway at this point. I mean, his house is closing in 2 weeks.
Supposedly, but I think we'd only be tabling it to see if the property did sell, because if it sold, then it would be up to the new owners. Right now,
Correct, right.
yeah, so it'd be just a mute. At that point, new property owners would either start to have to pull permits or, would need to be brought into
Okay.
compliance.
If no more comments, I'll take a motion.
I'll make the motion on case number CEN 23 420 that a violation has occurred and to assess a fine of $250 and table it to,
Any administrative fees?
no. I mean, the property's on is changing hands. I understand the village did do some work and all, but hopefully this is going to be remedied in sometime in the middle or late March with.
If the sale
does not
doesn't
go-
go, I'll come back and ask for admin fees.
Oh, if the sale does not go through, we still have tabled it for other issues.
Right.
Right.
And yes, we'll be asking for administrative fees and daily fines.
The table, $250 violation fine, table till March for further action.
I'll second it.
Judy second, I first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Thank you, sir.
Is that it? So how
We'll
do
send you orders in the mail.
for the $500?
The orders, yes.
Okay, I was like, how do I pay that? Okay, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Good luck. Hope your sale goes through.
We're moving on to new business on the agenda. That's item 8. Item number 8.1 for the address 590 Northeast 119th Street. The case number is CEN 23-468 for Danielle Karen Alvarez and Joseph Joaquin Alvarez. We are asking for an order of enforcement. This is for a driveway. There's no permit in the system, and they had received a courtesy notice way back when.
Any questions? Are you with questions or?
Questions?
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. My name is Joseph Joaquin Alvarez, property owner.
And I'm Danielle Alvarez, property owner.
Feel free, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, we received a notice and we're talking to different contractors. We had some questions regarding the layout of the driveway, and we wanted to clarify that. We asked the code enforcement officer, we sent an email requesting clarification what the actual faults were on the property. He referred us to the building clerk. We emailed the building clerk seeking further clarification. She sent us a pamphlet, gave us some information. We reached out to her and we asked to be put on the planning and zoning meeting so we could ask further questions before we hire the contractor. Every contractor we've spoken to is unclear about the Biscayne Park requirements. So when we addressed that, the feedback we got from the contractors wasn't very positive, and we didn't want to break ground, start doing the process to have to go back to the drawing board and start over.
Yeah, so we've requested for the next planning board meeting that's available. That email was sent today, so we're waiting to hear back on being
You
scheduled.
requested today.
The meeting.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
we've been
So you want, I was
communicating.
just gonna check with our new clerk if you were on the list, because she did the list for the next meeting.
It's nothing.
So
for
you
today.
probably will be on the March meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we know yet if they are scheduled?
They said they sent an email. I haven't seen it yet. So I know they are not scheduled for sure. They
Ne-
will probably schedule them for the next meeting.
Questions you have are the questions from the contractors that you.
Well,
want
it's
to-
questions from us regarding the design, because the contractor, when we told them about the specifications here, they seemed very unclear, and we didn't want them to start doing work and run into a problem with planning and zoning, and then have to go back to the drawing board, which would keep us further out of compliance.
Kind of just
It
want to
would-
discuss our proposal with them, so to make sure that what we're directing the contractor to do for, the specific estimate.
Probably would be good to set up an appointment with the contractor and the building official, no?
Sure, that's a good idea.
But you can go to P and Z just for discussion
Discussion, they can,
as well.
that's another
If
route.
you want to know
The
before.
members of the planning and
Yeah.
zoning board are incredibly knowledgeable.
Yes.
I would, if they're not on this coming meeting,
March 3rd would be the next one.
on,
No, I don't believe they do that in that board. However, they,
the reason I ask is, you used to.
Well, I'm sorry, they can apply by Friday, to put him on the next P and Z.
Apply for the meeting?
It's coming
Yes.
Friday?
I
It's
believe
coming
that
Friday.
was referenced in the letter to the building clerk.
Mhm.
Please
Yeah.
put us on the next available meeting.
Yeah.
The first available, we'll come in as a standby if you need us to. I mean, I'll stand by and wait.
I'll follow up on that.
Is that?
Thank you, sir.
Is that the right approach or is it the?
I'm
building-
sorry, maybe into the microphone if you would.
So is the P and Z meeting, you think that's the best approach or to meet with, is it Leonardo Liguri? You said somebody
I
from
would
the
go to
planning-
I would go to P and Z.
Yeah, planning and
think-
zoning will help guide you on the design and
Yeah.
tell
Okay.
you.
Legalities.
Survey and tell you all the
It
things
saves
you're
you a
going
lot of
to.
grief from going down the wrong path.
Right, because we're trying to, we're talking to contractors that may have had experience in this area. And, oh, yeah, we've done lots of driveways. And when we asked them questions about, well, does this meet requirement? They kind of hem and hawed, and we're concerned that that would raise a red flag after we sign the contract.
So you got ideas, you just want to bring them before the board.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah. And they're really good. They have discussion meetings and they'll all sit down
Mhm.
and discuss it with you and.
This is new to us, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good at that.
So can I make a motion to table this until March, to our meeting in March?
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. So yes, please get yourself on the agenda for P and Z, even as a discussion item. You can do that. You don't have to have everything done.
Okay.
Show them what you want to do, go through the process, get things in, take yourself good notes, and then you
Yeah.
won't waste the effort.
Fantastic.
So we will see you in March.
Is that
March-
the March 13th? Is that? or-
Mark, get with me. For our meeting would be March 20th.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
Thank
board
you.
members. Have a good evening.
Next item is 8.2 for the address 670 Northeast 119th Street. The case number is CEN 23-454 for Timothy Kelly. This is for a driveway. Mr. Kelly has applied for a permit, and I would like to enter into the record DWS-24-13. We are asking the board to give Mr. Kelly a 2-month continuance due to a hardship. Mr. Kelly is going through some health challenges at the moment.
Till April? You said 2 months?
2 months.
I would make a motion to continue CEN 23-454 to our April meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is 8.3. Thank you, by the way. 8.3, address is 740 Northeast 121st Street, CEN-23-389. Elaine B. Amiel. I hope I pronounced your name right, sir.
Alain, yes.
Elaine.
I thought you guys forgot about me.
We asking for an order of enforcement. This is for a driveway.
I see that the notice of violation was issued on September the 12th of 2023. Has there been any correspondence from the resident or property owner until recently?
We haven't had any written correspondence with the property owner.
How about verbal?
Yes, we had to have verbal contact with the property owner, and he was trying to ascertain more details as to what the requirements for the village in reference to his driveway.
Is this recent or near the notice of violation?
This was actually a few weeks ago in reference to him asking about that.
So in 2024?
That is correct.
So several months.
That was my only question.
Which one is the parking? the violation is this?
Yeah, well, yes, and it's.
Well, then there's this.
It's a little tough to look at and understand that third space, which I just found out about through code.
Sir, if you would, your name and your relationship to the
Sorry.
property?
My name is Alan Amiel. I'm owner of 740 Northeast 121st Street. Just for the record, I did not get a violation notice in 2023. The first time the violation was when these gentlemen came over about 2 weeks ago. And then the same afternoon, they posted something on the door. And then about 2 days later, I got a formal notice in the mail. What I got last year, I've been living in this neighborhood for 25 years. What I got last year, and I don't remember when, was something stating that you wanted to move towards some general fixes for the driveways. When
So
these guys
there
came by
have been
to,
multiple notices. I think it's been almost 2 years now. Am I right, for the driveway ordinance?
On the commission when it passed, so.
Right, at least 2 years. So there has been multiple notices. Okay.
when the gentleman came by to cite me with the violation, I didn't chase him away. I went outside and engaged in conversation, tried to get as much information as possible. They were helpful. They gave me some brochure with some general ideas. I have a very weird driveway because it's gravel. My neighbor to one side has that little border that you guys are requiring on the side of a gravel driveway. There's some misunderstanding on my part as to exactly what and where that border goes on the west side of my property. And then as we were discussing more, they also mentioned that the code requires a house, a single family residence with less than 4 bedrooms to have a third space. So that third space is in the swale. And there's some complications in the swale, obviously, because I wouldn't even know how to begin to design a 16-inch. I just found out that there's a 16-inch border that's supposed to be on the side of the street. So with a gravel driveway and the asphalt, it kind of looks, I don't know how that would work, but I reached out to somebody who sits on the PZ board here and told him my little dilemma. And he's going to help me to design something that I pretty much understand what I need to do for the actual driveway that our 2 cars parked. But the question is for that third space, if I can show you.
Yeah, that's in front of the property.
In other words, this is
Yeah,
my
that's the
driveway
swale.
here, and I assume something, that something that I confirmed this, but
Sure.
means that it was a calculation.
Right. Correct.
So I have some issues because right here is where to pick up my garbage. With that.
With the claw that they're not supposed to use.
And
That's a whole
much
other story.
gravel
Mhm.
So I've hired, just so that you know, I've hired a surveyor. I paid him. He's not so quick to come out. But I've played with the website to try to get a permit. I have not completed that process. I also heard from the guy that was before me something about the PZ, which my friend sits on. So if I can get on there and then by that time, the dates seem like I should be able to submit plans for permit sometime in March. It's not unrealistic. The survey will be the last thing that I really need. The drawings I should get quickly.
Right, yeah, P and Z, I mean, if you went with them just to get the information, that would be, but, right, other than that, you need to have.
So if that's correct, that there's a cutoff till tomorrow that I can get on that meeting, is that what you said to that gentleman?
So that would be Friday,
That's
Friday for the March 4th.
It is Wednesday, okay, yeah, so Friday is right,
I
okay.
think we're ready for a motion?
Wait, so what you want to talk to the P and Z like the last
I just
guy?
want to make sure to, again, I'm in the same situation. I don't want to draw something and go try to get a permit and they say you can't do that.
Fourth.
It's going to take me as much time since I'm still waiting for the survey to figure out how to draw that out. if the meeting is March 3rd, that's like, what, a week away, 2 week, no, not even 2 weeks away. So by then I would have the drawings and I'd have my survey I would be able to submit.
Nobody else has any questions?
Nope.
I'd like to, in case number CEN-23-389, make a motion to table this until our March meeting to determine if the process,
I'll second.
just a table.
All in
And-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The PD
Opposed?
meeting is before the March meeting, okay, so.
You should have two of them before that.
two of
Our
them.
meeting's not till the 20th, so you would have you should have two P and Z meetings before. Go with them, get their ideas, get the specifics, and then please bring this back to let us know what the
What we're-
progress is.
Yeah, if I may say, what we're looking for is see some
Movement.
Right.
towards obtaining that permit, which would be submitting things to the village to move
Yeah,
along
review, right.
quickly. So
Okay.
that's why we're tabling it, to make sure that it continues on with the forward movement.
That is my intent.
All right.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good night.
Next,
I
Judy.
I did.
The next three items, 8.4, 8.5, and 8.6. Addresses 11615 Griffin Boulevard. Case numbers CEN 246, CEN 2464, CEN 2465. These violations at this short-term rental were for unnecessary and excessive noise. They sent an email asking for a continuance to the next meeting. For the record, the chair signed the subpoenas. 3 police officers were subpoenaed for these 3 cases. They have been informed of this continuance and they will appear at the March meeting.
Motion to table.
Second.
All in,
Yes, CEN dash.
bear with me. Motion to table CEN 24-6, 24-64, and 24-65 to March's meeting.
So in March, we'll have subpoenas from the officers.
They've been.
The subpoenas, right, they've been subpoenaed and we informed them of the continuance. So they will be coming in March 20th for the meeting. They asked for the continuance.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This 5-0.
Who seconded?
Judy? Judy, second, I think? Yeah.
Thank you. We're moving on to item 9 on the agenda. It's a fine reduction request, 9.1, 890 Northeast 118th Street. Case number CEN 23-262 for Lance and Elizabeth Thomas. He is requesting fine reduction on a fine total of $1,250.
What number is this?
It's 9.1.
Sir, I think you came in late. I don't know that you got sworn in. I was gonna talk and just get sworn in. I made a note of that.
Were you sworn in, Lance?
No, I did come in late. Very good memory. I swear to tell the whole truth, full truth, nothing but the truth. Oh my God.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Questions from the board?
I didn't have this in my packet for some reason. I'm just looking. I didn't see.
Mr. Thomas, go right ahead.
Sure.
You would identify yourself and your relationship to the property.
Sure, my name is Lance Thomas. Me and my wife are the homeowners. And the request is for a fine reduction due to financial hardship that we've had recently. Don't know how much detail the board needs in this, but in the fall of the cryptocurrency market, we were defrauded quite a bit of money that we're paying back. So that's where our financial hardship comes from while we.
Comments from the board?
No, I was just, wanting to know, is this been remedied? Is it still a Airbnb? And is it, was a license or license obtained?
No. They don't have a license and they are not in violation. They have complied.
They're not Airbnb.
Not anymore. They tried it for a little bit, but I don't think they really went through with it. They advertised and the violation was for advertisement.
And so it was for 1,250.
The 1,000 was the violation fine and the 250 was assessed.
And your offer is for, $250?
Correct.
When it comes to financial investments, et cetera, I suspect a lot of people have had a lot of ups and downs over the course of the last year. I don't know that I can see that as that level of reduction. It's been a volatile year for everybody, wherever one's investments are.
This was just, it's not volatile investment, it's fraud. That's.
There's pending litigation too,
Yes,
right?
it is. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they were defrauded. It's not just, riding the ups and downs.
But
I'd make a motion to accept the $250 fine in CEN 23-262.
do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
Just think it's not
Comments?
very much.
No, I mean, I see that the 250 would cover administrative costs. And basically, we're saying, after that, we're just saying that there was no violation of our code.
And there was. So
And there
that's
was.
where I have
So
a problem.
I
Exactly.
understand a hardship, and
Yeah.
I truly do. I'm just looking at, that just covers the administrative costs at the time. And
I mean, I don't think it's saying that there's not a violation. They're just saying that we're taking into account its financial
But
hardship.
essentially, if we remove the entire amount, which is the applicable amount for that violation, we have said there's no violation. I would be okay with removing first of all, no, I would be okay with removing the 250 and leaving the 1,000. I am not okay with removing the 1,000.
And I'm just a little opposite. I mean, the village, the village expended money to bring all this,
Yeah.
to do all the paperwork for the
Agreed.
initial violation.
Agreed.
The violation occurred and there was there. So I look at it so you've covered the costs of all of that. And now it's basically a fine a fine reduction on a violation, which we would entertain for any resident who is coming before us for a fine reduction. And for me, that would be, what are you looking at for, what can you offer for the fine? Because the administrative costs are costs. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm just looking at,
Well,
is
first
there
of all, we
something?
do have a motion in a second.
Right.
That we should vote on. Michael's motion was to accept the 250, Rodolfo second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So motion dies 2-3.
Well, I can make a second motion.
May I make a recommendation?
Yes.
I would like to make a recommendation for $500 just because this is, I'm sorry. I would like to make a recommendation for $500 just because this is a homestead for them. And they were experimenting with advertising. When I looked at the paperwork, they never rented this place. They advertised, but they never got to rent their house. And it's their homestead. They live in it.
You would be comfortable with a 500?
I would be comfortable with reducing it to half.
Well,
500.
It's not for us to make the, the
We
resident,
can say,
Well, that's what she's saying, you know,
yeah, that's a recommendation to you.
Right.
Because your offer of 250 was denied. She's just, the village is off saying, they'd be happy with 500. What are you?
300, to be, just being honest.
Mhm. It's basically $50 towards a $1,000 violation.
well, the middle of that is 400.
Yeah, but the middle of 1,200 is not 400.
No,
1,250.
But no, I mean, the village is off, it said they would be happy for 500 and
I would support 500.
I would support if the resident is comfortable with 400. I mean, I truly believe, like, looking at the resident, I understand hardships. I was just looking for something to be paid towards a violation.
Right,
And,
agreed.
I'm not telling you what to offer. I'm not.
No, I'm just saying what I would agree with. I'm not telling you what to offer either. It's just what I would agree to.
Being honest about what you asked, what is it? What's the number? What could I to do? And I'm telling you.
Well, you've heard the arguments, and you've heard what the people are saying here and what the recommendation is. You know, I mean, if you'd like to make an Ori tennis, motion to, you said 300, and you've heard some arguments here, so you're trying to get support for, a fine reduction. So, you want to amend that, or do you want us to vote on 300?
And 400 if board's agreeable.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resident's offer for a fine reduction of $400.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0 for 400.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And that were all the cases that we brought before the board today. We are moving on to 10 discussions. On 10.1, address.
I'm sorry to interrupt, hon. If there's no objection, can we take 10-2 first? I have a feeling that'll be a more concise conversation. I'm anticipating there's more nuance, more to deal with in 10-1. So would anybody have any objection to taking 10-2 first?
I have no.
10.2, address is 11095 Griffin Boulevard. The case number is CEN 2473, Purpose Holdings LLC, through their registered agent, Fadel Habib. This case is now in compliance. They are no longer asking for the variance at this time. They removed the gate. The gates, they have. We have pictures to submit into evidence. Gates. Removed. Oh, no gates.
And they removed them ahead of the compliance date.
That's correct.
Are they still seeking a variance?
Yeah, they
At
were-
the moment, they're not, but they've submitted a statement.
Here is a incredible piece of irony. Rodolfo and Dale are going to remember this. Michael and Judy were on the board then. Approximately 2 years ago, we had an identical case. And they too wanted to be able to leave the gates up while applying for the variance and were not permitted. In fact, I think it was code that had them take it down before it even got to us. So it was like, I'm seeing this and it's deja vu.
I submitted a statement that with the board, 5 minutes to read and sign.
Then. Well, do you need a motion or anything? No, because it was just discussion.
It's a discussion.
One-
Just wanted to make sure he put it on the record of the security situation at his property.
Okay. On to.
No, we need to,
10-1 rather, sorry.
10-2, but we need to make a motion. to
No.
close.
Discussion item 10.1,
That was before compliance date.
11890 Northeast 10th Avenue, case number 22-100. This is for Sarah Fahey. The progress report has been submitted, hardship documentation, which is her medical records and her social security payments, which is her living wage. We submitted a redacted report because there was personal information.
Okay, if nobody minds. The thing that, I'm sorry, I apologize, did I?
I'm done.
The thing that I have to say I agree with, and I'm glad the manager stated this, and if he's listening, thank you, Chris. Code is code and we enforce equally. The violation either exists or it doesn't. Now, and even the attorney said, I mean, I just cannot fathom how we could rewrite an ordinance and have a hardship clause. I mean, it would be a bureaucratic nightmare, and even the attorney at one point says it would be open to, he didn't say uneven, that's my word, not his, but very tough to enforce uniformly. And this ordinance really wasn't imposed any more than any other ordinance was imposed. In fact, we've always had a driveway ordinance. This was simply tweaked and finally enforced. Before I go any further in my speech making, I want to offer and see what you guys think of a potential solution. If you look at the pictures, there is some semblance of a gravel driveway. Is there any reason that rather than pretend this violation doesn't even exist, could we, instead of requiring an actual driveway, which requires all the permits, and she stays with gravel, the border and all that 9 yards of drama, could we not allow her to simply refresh the gravel? It means nothing more than getting a load of gravel and having it raked out. Surely far more cost effective, far less drama. And if we have to extend the deadline, let's give her another 2 months.
You had given her till July. This was just the progress
Give
report.
her I'm sorry.
Did the county?
How
come
does
through
the board
with
feel?
anything?
I'm sorry, Judy. I didn't-
Unfortunately, the county didn't come up with anything yet. They didn't get back with us. We did have an appointment for them to visit Ms. Fahey, but they didn't make it, and they haven't made a second appointment. The granddaughter came into the office today because I had invited her to attend the meeting, but she was not able to. However, she did mention that they are getting together as a family and they are putting money together and talking to different contractors about doing the gravel driveway.
And she gets like $777 a month and then another $129, which is $900.
Slightly more because she's on SSI.
That's correct.
But what,
93 years old?
That's correct.
what does everyone think of
She's also had that, I believe, that house on reverse mortgage.
Yes,
She does have a reverse
Yeah.
mortgage?
yes.
She's really in bad shape.
That'd be my other question.
Yeah, when they came to us first time, they were not able to get any grants or anything because of the reverse mortgage. So I actually,
Well, I was just throwing that
Trying to
out
get
there as a viable alternative because I understand we have to judge each case separately, but we also have to look at unintended consequences and long-term ramifications. And at one point, the attorney says, well, as long as you don't enforce things discriminatorily, yeah, but you know how the real world is. We start ignoring major violations that are so obvious. It just destroys code's credibility.
but we also gave them to what, June?
No, right, July. Yeah,
So,
I mean, we can stick with
I think
that.
what Janie was saying was that, yeah, still leave it at July.
Right.
And maybe suggested them that they, refresh the
The gravel.
concrete to come into
The gravel.
compliance, such as we did with, some residents on 118th Street that
Mhm.
have gravel, and they were cited for non-conforming, but as long as they maintain the
Yeah.
gravel driveway, until it, yeah.
There's one
So,
on 11th Place.
Janie, I mean, not to digress from other properties, but I understand what you're saying, and I'm in agreement with that. That seems like the resolve that would give the property owners
You know.
time to come into some funds, and if not, they can always ask for an extension if they show progress.
Do you want to stick with the July deadline?
Well, July's still a good ways away, and if they've already said they were meeting, family members were getting together, and if they know that they may have an alternative which wouldn't require a new permit, just requires replenishing the gravel driveway in a tidy manner. I don't have pictures as what it currently looks like, but let's say it's at a 50%, a little more than a 50% in good shape, that just replenishing it would be in compliance. I'm all for that.
Well, for that, I guess I do need a motion.
So I was just going to say, while as code, we cannot go to them and
We
recommend,
have consensus.
right?
I won't make a motion because this was a discussion item, but do we have consensus to offer the property owner the opportunity, rather than putting in a whole new driveway, to simply refresh the gravel? To bring it up.
I think what Doreen's saying is that we can't make recommendations. I mean, like that, but it may be that we're sticking with the July deadline to come in compliance. One of the ways would be because you have a
right.
driveway. That's just offering,
Yeah,
not telling you what to do, just that,
offer them another alternative.
yeah, an alternative, which would be to, replenish.
Because right now, they think they have to put a full driveway. We give them option number 2, which would be just refresh what they have.
I think that's a good idea.
Yes,
Yeah, don't we have that 50%
yes.
of, that if you have 50% of your driveway, you're still okay.
Said a little more than 50%, rather than debate inches. If that gets achieving basically what we want, which was to get closer to compliance than it currently is, I think that's a win without holding on for everything, and we may get nothing.
Right. I think that would bring it into compliance at
Mhm.
that point.
Exactly.
I'm all for that suggestion.
So we have consensus
Yep.
for that option, as you said. I like that.
All right, we'll pass on the message from to the property owner. And that was everything we had on the agenda today.
Is that it?
No, you have to set a special meeting date for the
Special-
policy manual.
Yes.
The policies and procedures manual, we can't each give our ideas separately. It has to be done in a public meeting. So we need to set a special meeting.
So let me ask, while we were off, we had, are you still talking? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, on the record.
Yeah, no, I was going to bring up something separate from the record, from what's going on. In terms of the information that we're receiving and the manner that we're doing it, I thought that we had a little pilot program about emailing it to people. Are we still doing that or not? Or like OneDrive? Do you guys have OneDrive?
We do have OneDrive and we were looking for feedback from the board members. We can try OneDrive and see if that works for the members.
I know it would work for me because that's like when I get legal documents, it'll come through OneDrive and I can put it on my iPad and then I can write on it.
You're right, I thought about that.
I can write on it and I can do that kind of stuff. If, you know, if you've got an application, I use a thing called TrialPad that I put it into my, but that says like a subscription service. I don't know if there's something cheaper out there, but.
Well, I'm at a disadvantage in that I don't even know what a OneDrive is, so somebody educate me, I'll try to use it.
I'm very lucky.
It's like Dropbox.
Because
It's like
So,
It's like
special meeting, guys.
So member Michael and not OneDrive and Dale, what's your preference? With the
I can
electro,
take a Dropbox, but I like this because I have difficult time reading off of the computer, but
I hate to say it, I'll take the drop. I really liked it when Raphael linked it to the agenda. And I remember last month you did 2 copies. It was the way Shantae used to do it too. The way the commission gets theirs linked into the agenda, I thought was great.
Right.
But either way, I'll deal with it.
we can do Granicus. The only thing with Granicus, like I had said before, is we have more attachments than the commission.
Oh, you're right, you're
So
right.
those links can break and you may see one thing and may not see another.
I tell you
However,
what,
the
I
summary
know-
agenda itself, I would be happy to put on Granicus.
I know that environmentally, I shouldn't say this, but it's so nice to have the paper and scribble on my notes and scribble new notes but whatever
But
works for you guys.
The other thing that helped out this time was you did things in order.
Yeah, it was all in
A
order.
whole lot easier to keep track of everything when it's in order than when we skip around and I know you do it for the people who are here,
After
but
last month's meeting, I asked Doreen and Chris to meet with me. I knew we could not do that 3.5 hours. That was killing people. So we came up with different ways to try to streamline things, but it wasn't until today the light bulb lit up. It's me, this is on me. I'd always asked to do it in order of the people that are here because it only seemed fair. Well, then finally the light bulb lit up again and wait a minute, it takes so long to go, okay, now
where's that?
agenda A, no, now it's G, now it's B. Now, I knew that was killing us. So we had a back and forth today and Doreen said, yeah, we'll do this way. And
Yeah, I liked it.
much better.
Much better, much easier to keep track of.
Feel free, guys, please, if you see things that I can do better, that I can do cleaner, simpler, please say something. You know, this is a group effort. I'm just here to kind of channel what we need to do, but I need to hear from you because I sure the hell don't have all the answers.
It actually made it much easier to follow because I was like, wow, I know where everything is and it's right in order of what it should be.
It works.
So,
And that was late in the day when I thought of that little number, but
and
Still on the electronic agenda, Judy, I'm not sure what's the best way for you. I would like to streamline this.
if somebody can show me how to figure it out, I'll do electronic, but I had no luck with Dropbox.
So for now, paper is good for you?
Well, I mean, is there, he called another one out, is there another?
The
way?
OneDrive?
Yeah, I'll
wanna
try it, but I'll come into your office with my iPad and you'll show me.
iPad.
iPad.
Oh. iPad.
well, I have an iPad.
Okay. Rodolfo, you haven't
The
given me any
iPad.
feedback. How would you want the agenda delivered?
Please, guys, before we go,
prepare the
go to all our
Dropbox?
sidebars, the other,
We haven't tried OneDrive. We'll try that.
before we go to.
Granicus, you,
Jamie would like.
Let-
us to
Before we
set a
go to
date.
all our sidebars, we need to set a special meeting date.
you go to Dropbox. Okay.
I'll look into it.
They want a recommendation on the procedures. I believe that was what was
Whatever
given
it's
out
easy enough.
Whatever
when
it
we
is.
first came in.
Okay.
This thing.
Okay. We'll try, we'll try both. And I'll try Granicus. Okay, so a date for the standard operating policies and procedures.
Yes,
Can we
Mr.
do it in, yeah, can we do it at a regular meeting as a discussion item? Once it's been reviewed, we can bring it to May or April, whichever.
Do you want to just put it in March's meeting as a discussion, or do you want to do that earlier? Can you wait till March?
Yeah, we can wait till March.
Okay, then we don't need a special meeting. We'll just make it,
But to give you enough
Meeting?
time to review it, it's a long
we'll
document.
make
it's
it the
33
March,
pages.
at the March meeting, we'll make it the discussion item.
Okay,
Right? Is that okay?
Michael needs a copy of this.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
I'll give him my copy.
that would help.
Yes, you sure?
Has anyone got any?
I only have one thing, and that is make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:23.
I will come in.
Lisa, if you,
And welcome. Actually, now that she says that, you look familiar. I've seen you. But I thought we had somebody sitting in the way that we were ignoring.
Put it on. The only.
but you have a notice. But on the other hand, but the thing is, like, unless you have a map,